you go behind it. What I'm actually going to be referring to is the little booklet that's right underneath that page. It's called Different Ways of Making a Planned Gift. And then over here on the left-hand side, the estate planning for the Christian steward. I'm also going to be referring a little bit to that one as well. The Christian estate planning booklet on the left-hand side, this is more for your information. This is, what we talk about is not always the most comforting of things. People just don't like to talk about their estate because it means that we're actually planning for our death. But yes, we are. We just want to make sure we do it in a loving manner. Because if I'm called home today, I want to make sure that my wife and my kids are taken care of. And what this is going to do, this will help you start, if you've never had a will, even if you do have a will, you can have it set up where you have a Christian preamble. What does it do for a legal standpoint? Nothing. But you know what it does for the family? It gives them peace of mind, knowing where your heart was prior to being called home. Then you start paging through it, and then you kind of get into the crux of the plan. Your stuff. I mean, stuff is stuff. But you keep on paging through it. You can also plan your own funeral in that. As far as if you have a certain hymn, a certain passage you want to have at your funeral. That booklet will help you go through, and this is something that you can do on your own time. If anyone has any questions throughout the process, please let me know. I'm going to give a 30,000-foot view. And the reason I'm going to do this is because our lives change so quickly that in 5 years, everything has changed. So if you have a will and it is 5 years or older, you may want to have it looked at. Reason being is I don't think any one of us are in the same situation today as we were 5 years ago. I sure know I'm not 10 years ago. So these are just things to kind of keep in mind. Why do we do estate planning? First of all, you want to witness the Christian values in the preamble. Take care of your family, and then arrange a special gift for the Lord's work. A good way to remember it is a rising tide lifts all ships. And really what that means is every little bit is going to actually benefit all of us. Pictured here, just a couple of updates. For those of you that were here at the earlier service, you heard Pastor Lutheran talk about some of the exciting things that are going on in the Home of the World missions. Ministerial education, our ministerial schools for our called workers that are up and coming. These are all things that we can actually choose to support. Whatever your love is for ministry, it could be right here at Northdale. It could be the school. It could be any one of these services and numerous others that could be supported. My role, first of all, I just want to make sure that there's no confusion here. My role is I'm more of a coach. We are here as a service provided by the city. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant, and I'm no longer an investment advisor. What we do is, we're kind of like the Bill Belichick's, okay? I don't throw a football, but I've got someone who can. I don't catch a football, but I've got somebody who can write estate plans. We can actually help people set up meetings with individuals that can help you with your plans going forward. Getting started, the number one error that we call it the 8 errors of Christian estate planning. And they're errors because they're really often overlooked. They're not an error unless we actually don't do it. If we do something like this, if we forget our owner, yes, that is error number one. Few passages here. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Everything comes from you, and we have given you only what comes from your hand. If you notice that the owner, everything, and everyone is actually a gift from our Lord. By grace, God supplies all our needs. Seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all the things will be given to you as well. And God demonstrates His love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. And again, looking at this is God's promise. He's promising to take care of all of our needs. And by grace, God entrusts us to the task of management. Now it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful. And again, this is faithful handling of our gifts. And folks, just keeping in mind, we're not always talking about financial gifts. There's other gifts that we all possess. Some have intellect, some have finance. I'm from the age, I remember the time, talents, and treasures very well. This is kind of the crux of that. How many remember that, time, talents, and treasures? Okay. We dated ourselves with that. Just saying. Management choices. If anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for his immediate family, go and make disciples of all nations. You notice, really, the Lord has given us everything, including our family. And family is very important while we are doing our plans here. And this is part of the Lord's directions here. At the present time, your plenty will supply what they need. And this is why you pay taxes, for authorities are God's servants who give their full time to governing. You notice that we're talking about family. We talk about gospel work here. Those in need and those who rule over us. Don't like paying taxes, but it is a responsibility of us. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. And again, giving and the willingness and the thankful and the trusting in Jesus. Pastor Lunenberg talked about a gentleman this morning that had given a great deal, and his comment was, the Lord had a bigger shovel than his while he's shoveling it out. I like that. Pastor, I do like that. I never heard that. I like that. I am going to be using that from here on out. And your love lives on. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many. Come and share your master's happiness. And again, we don't give to get. That is not what we're looking to do. Really, we're God's promise and his rewards. And this is what we are being thankful for what we have been given. Area number 2, now we're going to kind of get into the estate planning itself. This is beneficiary designations not coordinated with an estate plan. If any of us, and when I'm looking at this list here of 6 items, this consumes probably 85% of our country. 85% of our wealth has a majority of our investments or our income in these items. Life insurance, annuity, IRA, 401k, TSA, or a 403b. The one thing that these all have is a beneficiary designation, meaning that when you die, whoever is listed on that beneficiary is a recipient. Guess what? It doesn't care about the will. It doesn't care if you promise something to a son or a daughter. If this is the beneficiary designation, the money goes right there. It avoids probate, and it's cheap. A pen is all it takes. However, because it's cheap and all it takes is a pen, it's often overlooked. How many of us have our estates or our beneficiary designations changed? I have a son, smart young man, smart. Got married this last summer, expecting a baby. And I honestly don't know if his beneficiaries have changed. And this can be a problem because I had this happen to me when I was back in Wisconsin. Had a young man, about 29 years old, had been married for a little over a year, recent father. His son was maybe 3 months old. He was killed in a car accident on a Monday morning going to work. Well, his beneficiaries hadn't been changed from when he took out his policy years earlier. His parents, not his wife, were listed as the beneficiary. I had to drop the check off for $100,000 to his parents. I cannot give it to his wife. It didn't matter because the beneficiary designations were his parents. They could gift it to her and to the grandson. I don't know. It was out of my hands. I don't know if that was his intention. I assume not. So these are things where we just have to be cognizant if we do have a change, even in our own household, to make sure that these are updated. Error number 3, no first fruits giving provisions. Many of us don't even know how to say thank you to Jesus. We really don't. It's like, we all think that little brass tray that goes across our laps every Sunday is the only way to do it. Not really. Cash. Cash is pretty self-explanatory. However, there are other things. There are some young folks in here, which is nice to see, because you can also get matching gifts. Employers actually have a lot of abilities where people can match gifts for schools. Most of them will not give to a church, but they can give to a school. So if you have a love in your heart for ministerial ed or the elementary school here, check with your employer. We have a list, but trust me, they change all the time. They can set out a plan for the year and they can change it halfway through. Your best offer is if you are thinking of donating to the school, you can potentially get the bigger bang for your buck. You go for 2 for 1. And all you have to do is check with your benefit plans office to see if they have any type of gift matching, and if so, how much it is. Itemized or charitable gifts will help. Itemization, what we're talking about here is, okay, for instance, like taxes. In Wisconsin, where I came from, our taxes are very high for our property tax. However, we didn't have enough in one year to claim, so what we would do is we'd pay taxes in January for the previous year, and then we pay taxes in December of that same year, so we could actually have that deduction all in 1 year. The tax laws have changed, however, just beware that these are only going to be updated until 25. After 2025, we don't know what the tax laws are going to be. So these are things to kind of keep in the back of your mind while you are setting up your plan. Appreciated assets. Giving more for less. Basically, transferring ownership to charities. I have a lot of folks in the Midwest that actually have land, which has appreciated in value. You can give them to a church. Stocks. If you are one that has one of the first Google stocks, you're going to have a pretty hefty tax bill if you ever wanted to cash that stock out from the gains. You can gift it to a church. You can gift it to a school. If you don't need the money, these are just ideas that people can have. No gains, you pay no capital gains, and then you get the full deduction. So if it's worth $1,000, you're going to be lucky if you probably pulled in maybe $350, $400 out of that, where the church or the school could gain the full $1,000. IRA charitable distributions. We don't have a lot of people that probably qualify for that in this particular session. However, I know we all know people that are 70 and a half or older. This one is an amazing gift that the IRS is allowing those of us that are of this age. We have to take a minimum out of our IRA when we turn 70 and a half. We have no choice. You can say no, they're going to send it to you anyway. So in this particular case, let's say if you have to take a minimum of $10,000, you're going to get hit twice on this. First of all, that $10,000 is going to be added to your income. So you're on Social Security. Let's say you're making $20,000 on Social Security. Now you have to add $10,000. Your tax bill just went to $30,000. That $10,000 that they send you is also going to be taxed as regular income. So you're probably going to get maybe $7,500 out of that. The IRS is now saying that if you wanted to gift your minimum distribution, you can actually give it to the church. And you know how that works? That $10,000 that you have to take, the church gets $10,000. You're not taxed, and it does not get added to your income. The key is, it has to go from your investment manager or company directly to the church. You cannot be any part of that process. A lot of people are taking advantage of this and actually using this for a lot of their offerings that they have been given. it's just being wise stewards with their money. This is not a tax shelter. This is something that the IRS is allowing. They made it into law about 3 years ago. How long it's going to stay into law? We don't know. But while it's going, we are really, really advocating that those that do not need this money, it's a wonderful way to make a gift. Wills or trusts? Wills, how many of us have a will? Most of us do. Now, do you think you're pretty well set? Not necessarily. A will gives the state and the government intention. All right, I want to give something to my son. That's what it's going to do. That's it. It doesn't do anything, it really has no teeth other than that. Trusts, however, can actually be set up. Trusts are help with the probate. Trusts will give direction. Say if I have a large estate, a large asset, if my 2 kids inherited it, they could be taxed to death. My daughter's going to be a doctor, my son has been on his own for years. Their taxes could be outrageous. You can actually set up a trust so then they can have incremental payments for years to come. We can do percentages. A lot of us will do this. I have percentages going to, well, first of all, my wife will get it all. In the event that both of us are called home, my son gets a percentage, my daughter will get a percentage, and the church will get a percentage. I want to make sure that the Lord gets a percentage as well. You can do a specific bequest. And what we mean by specific, if, for instance, I have a brother. My brother has been blessed financially. He doesn't need anything from my mother. Mother's 99 years old. She's got a lot of stuff around her house. He wants a chair, a kitchen chair. Why? Because when we were in college, we'd come home Friday night, 2 o'clock from the library, and we'd pop in pizzas, and we'd sit and talk until about 4 in the morning. And we would sit on these chairs, and this is what he remembers. My mom actually has in her will that Tom gets this chair. He doesn't want anything else of hers. He doesn't need anything else. But these are items, jewelry, and it doesn't even have to be anything of significant value. A chair, it's worthless financially, but to him it's priceless. Residual bequests. Residual bequests are basically for loved ones. You can give to your loved ones, and then whatever is left, the residual, can go to helping the Lord's work. And then a trust. For instance, we have a legacy charitable remainder trust. This is for something with a large dollar amount, say $200,000 or more. What will happen is you can have the payments go for about 20 years to your heirs, and then whatever is left over goes to the ministry of your choice. Retirement plans. The tax-deferred savings are great right now, but we're kind of kicking the can down the road. Taxes are going to be collected eventually, kind of like that minimum distribution that I spoke of. This is exactly the problem that we'll be facing later. You can do a simple no-cost beneficiary change. You have an IRA that you don't really need, it's not a real big one. Put the beneficiary designation as the church. You still retain it while you are alive, but then in the event of your death, the church could benefit from it. We can do the contingencies where spouses first. In the event of their death, then you can do a contingency to go to a ministry of choice. Again, it's yours until death. It's just that afterwards, it'll just go to the ministry of choice. There's no deferred taxes because it's paid to a charity. And your kids, I will get to some of the better vehicles that you can use for the kids, but the reason is taxes. If you're retired and you have an IRA, your taxes are actually pretty low. My daughter's going to be a doctor come May. She's going to graduate. Her tax bills are going to be a lot higher than what my wife's and mine are. She's not going to want a vehicle like this because it's going to put her in another tax bracket, which is already going to be through the roof. Payable on death transfers. Payable on death transfers is, these are like for banks. If you have a bank statement, a CD, you actually, it's like a beneficiary form. We all have to do them if we have a savings account. Again, we have no probate, there's no attorneys, there's no will, and there's no cost. Stroke of a pen. Brokerage or mutual funds also use transfer on death. Brokerage accounts and mutual funds are really actually good gifts to give to the kids, as are bank statements, the savings accounts. Why? They're taxed on a regular basis, but a mutual fund, if I die, my mutual funds get a step up in basis for the kids. So I paid $100 for it, it's now worth $1,000. Guess what? The kids start out at $1,000. They don't start at $100. That $900 is actually forgiven. This is a great gift to give to the kids, not an IRA. Basically, everything that we hear, you can change at any time throughout the course of your life. If this is something of interest for you, just let me know. I mean, pages, if you look at that the little booklet, pages 8 and 9 speak much more depth about this, and we can talk on an individualized basis. Life insurance. Life insurance is a great gift. First of all, for just pennies on the dollar, you can actually give a large gift. Life insurance, however, is great for the kids because it's not taxed. So if you do have an IRA, 401, TSA, 403B, anything of those, that would be the gift to give to the Lord's work. Life insurance, give it to the kids. Again, no taxation on this. You can, however, if you wanted to take out a life insurance policy on yourself and leave the church as a beneficiary, you can actually get a tax break. You can write the taxes off if you're making the premium payments. You can't do it for the kids, but if you actually have a beneficiary and you listed the church as the owner of a policy, you can actually deduct it. We have a few people that have done this in the past. It's not as common anymore because the tax laws are they are a lot more favorable than they used to be. But this is something that you can ask your insurance representative how to do something of this sort. Charitable gift annuities. A charitable gift annuity, first of all, a gift annuity is a $10,000 minimum. This on pages 12 and 13, it does speak a little bit about this. However, let's just say now, if you're 75 years old, you will receive 6.2% annually for life. 71% of the income, first of all, is tax-free for 12 years. And 45% of the gift is actually a charitable deduction. It's a great gift for local ministries. For instance, if you wanted to take out a gift annuity and list the church or the school, these are wonderful. You will receive your gift. We have a lot of people that actually get the gifts and then they just transfer the money right to the church. There you go. Charitable remainder trusts. Charitable remainder trusts, these are also large assets that have accumulated in great wealth. Farmland, and you see that the number, a 1031, that is something that farmland has appreciated a great deal in value. We had a couple very blessed financially. Their kids were blessed financially. They had 325 acres in South Dakota. They bought it back in the late 60s, early 70s for $25 an acre. It has appreciated in value. It's now worth $1.2 million. Well, there is a huge tax burden if the kids were to receive this. They're looking to set up a remainder trust. This way they'll get the percentage. However, the charity, and I'm not sure exactly who they're listing for the charity, but really the benefit is going to be to the ministry of their choice. Legacy charitable remainder trusts. Again, this one is yours for life. Income tax. The income tax it's as it's used. If you take whatever money comes up, that's when it's taxed. And at death, there's no deferred tax. We have more information on these. These are going to be on page 14 through 16 if these are of at all interest to you. Donor advised funds. Donor advised funds, if anyone here gets Christmas bonuses, these are wonderful for bonuses. Okay, at the end of the year, let's say if you got, and there are some people that actually do get $30,000 Christmas bonuses, end of year stock options, you know, they don't need it because what it's going to do is actually going to add to your income. The donor advised fund is great because you can put it into the donor advised fund and you don't even have to worry about it. You get the charitable deduction now, and later on you can determine where you want the monies to go. It's just a way of kind of sweeping it aside for now, not having to worry about it, and use it for the Lord's work. Endowments. Endowments are on page 18. Now these are permanently restricted. Once you set up an endowment, you can't take the money out. The money is used on an ongoing, perpetually. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. You can, congregations, quite a few congregations actually do have endowments, and the reason, the beauty of them is they can be added to any time. They do require $10,000 to start. However, if you wanted to add to them, you can add to them. Scholarship funds, ministerial education schools, they are very popular. Martin Luther College in New Ulm has quite a few of these for the tuition assistance. And what is best for your goals? Does your will or trust direct a percentage to the ministry? What will happen? Have you reviewed your plans lately? As I mentioned, 5 years is typical what we suggest for reviewing your plans. An interesting statistic, 85% excuse me, not 85, 65 to 70% of the people in our country have no plan, none. They don't know who their beneficiaries are, they have no plan. So let's just say 30% actually know or have some plan of action in the Lord if they're called home. Out of that 30%, it kind of goes again, about 70 to 30%. Only 30% have it actually up to date. So figure we have 30 people, now we take another percentage of that. Basically, there's about 10 people out of 100 that actually have their estate plans within about the last 5 years, up to date. So if you have any start of it, if you know who your beneficiaries are, you're actually on the higher end of the average. So good for you, but there's still a little bit of work to be done. Area number 4, no estate planning documents. What this is if you don't have a will, the state will make a determination of who gets what and where it goes. I don't know about you, but the state doesn't always make the choices that I agree with. So I kind of would like to at least keep a little bit of a handle on this. The other thing to keep in mind too, if you get a will or you get your estate plan, all right, you get an attorney hired, it's kind of like a car salesman. And I don't mean any disrespect if I have attorneys or car salesmen here, but my reason for saying this is I can go to 3 dealers, I can look at the same exact car, same exact color even, and I get a few different quotes. It's the same car. Attorneys are kind of that way too. Your attorney fees are not etched in stone. That booklet that I showed you where you can actually start doing your estate plan, that will help decrease the amount of time that attorney will bill, and it's their billable hours that they're going to get you for. The average is about $700 to $800 for an attorney to have the will and the estate plan set up. It can get higher for the higher estates. However, keep in mind the average probate. Now this last I saw was about 2 to 3 years ago, was about $700 to $7,500 to settle the estate. So if you think of it, you're paying 10% to a gift that your beneficiaries are going to be receiving just out of the gate. Is it comfortable? No. But you know what? You actually are saving your like my kids, in the long run. Area number 5, no guardians, trustees, or personal representatives. This one, what we're talking about is, all right, in the event that my kids, when we were younger, we went to an attorney because we wanted to have a trust set up for minors. Because the state will decide, if parents have nothing set up, the state will decide who gets the kids. It might not be who you want. We actually had it set up where 2 people were entrusted with our kids. My sister-in-law got the kids, and my brother, the one that wants the chair, he was the one that was actually the trustee. My sister-in-law, wonderful Christian woman. Oh, she would do everything for the kids, but she would always give them, okay, remember the pump, those Reeboks, I think they were. You could get the pumps. They were outrageously expensive. Her kids had them. My kids didn't. Whatever was on the cold shelf is what my kids got. So I had my brother. He squeaks when he walks. If the kids needed shoes, he'd make sure that they got the shoes, but they're not going to get those Reebok pump things. You can actually have different designations for this. Personal representatives, what we mean about a personal representative is like power of attorney. In the event that you are incapacitated, who actually is going to take care of your stuff, or you? Right now, my wife will get it. She will take care of it, because that's just the law. However, if both of us are incapacitated, who would we call? We don't know. This actually can and has happened to young people. We had a young man who was a student at Martin Luther College, playing baseball. Took a line drive right to the noggin. He was out. He was hospitalized, and this young man was from Wisconsin. He got hurt in Minnesota. He was in the hospital. No one could tell his parents. The hospital couldn't talk to the school because they were not representatives. They had no idea who his parents were, and this kid was out of it. It was only by the grace of God that a compassionate nurse took it upon herself and called the school. School called his parents in Wisconsin, and they got it set up. So even for you young ones, and I know we have a student here, even for our young students, anyone 18 or older, power of attorney health care is very important. And it's the state of residence, state of permanent residence. My daughter went to school in Wisconsin, Texas, Louisiana, and now she's in Florida. Well, we had to change her power of attorney a few times while she was residing in those areas. And just beware, that is for the benefit of just basically of your own well-being. Number 6, no consideration for special needs for the beneficiaries. And what we mean, minors. In the event that my wife and I would have been called home, who would raise the kids? The state would have decided. Well, we had Lori. We decided we wanted Lori and my brother to be in charge of that. Special needs. This is another one that is often overlooked. If you have a special needs person in the household, and it can be an adult, they're on Title 19, you die, they inherit some money. Guess what? You can actually kick them off of their Title 19, and then they have to start that process all over. The problem is if you're gone, who's going to help them? This is where it's very important to maybe look into a special needs trust. Spendthrift. It's kind of like my sister-in-law. We just wanted to make sure that she wasn't going to go, she wouldn't have done anything with malintent. But we wanted to make sure that the money was going to be spent in the proper way, or even the well-to-do. And the well-to-do, a lot of people don't think of it this way. It's like, oh, they have money, they have nothing to worry about. Yes and no. We actually had a pastor that was up in the eastern coast, up in the Northeast. They had a member that came up to him and asked what they could do because they had to write checks for over $2 million to help settle his sister's estate. She had amassed so much wealth, and that was just for the taxes, and they weren't even done yet. So that $2 million, if she would have had some proper paperwork, there could be a lot of ministry that could be supported with that. We're not looking to hide taxes. Again, we're not looking to get around it. But these are also things to keep in mind. The couple that had that land in South Dakota, their 2 kids, I believe one was a doctor, maybe the other one was married to a doctor. They didn't need the money. So they were well-to-do. They didn't need it. There's other ways that you can help support the family. Overlooking tax issues. We've kind of talked about this. The federal estate tax, deferred income taxes, that pretty much goes with that's self-explanatory. However, there are better ways of making of these gifts. Again, IRAs, you don't want to give that to the kids. Yeah, you can, but they're going to have to pay taxes on their own. Failure to plan for incapacity. This is like that young man that I was talking about. First of all, you've got durable power of attorney and power of attorney health care. Durable power of attorney is something that would require the assistance of an attorney. Power of attorney means that someone's going to have access to your finances if you can't do it. That's really what it is. You can set these things up through a local bank. For instance, I am in charge with my mother's account. Mom's 99. She's still pretty savvy, but needs help once in a while, so I can just log on and do some of the banking. However, the power of attorney for health care, again, your spouse is going to be automatically just because of who they are. But in the event that both of you are incapacitated, who's going to make that decision? The thing to keep in mind with power of attorney health care, this can be actually done free of charge. There is Christian Life Resources. It is actually a parasynautical located up in the Milwaukee area of Wisconsin. They actually have a website that you can log on and go for power of attorney, and it's great for the students. My daughter has this on her computer because she could upload the information, send it what her address is. They sent her all the requirements that were needed free of charge. So these are just a few ideas for folks to keep in mind. Really, now what? Now what do we do? Again, as I mentioned, we are a service that the city provides. We're free of charge. We can help coach you, help put you in contact with an attorney, an accountant, even investment advisors. We don't cost anything, there's no obligation, and everything that we do here is confidential. As I mentioned, that's why we're doing a 30,000-foot view. I'm not delving into any one particular individual's assets. This is something that we do on their own time at their own kitchen table. We're looking to minimize some of these costs. Again, an attorney, it's boilerplate. You do a will, you do a trust, a lot of it's just boilerplate. They've already got it done. They don't have to recreate the wheel. They fill in the names, they fill in the stuff that goes where it has to go, and they print it. You're paying for their time. You don't have to pay for them to create the documents. So the more we can actually get together and compile to hand to them, the better it actually is. And really, ultimately, to say thank you. We want to say thank you to our Lord and our Savior for the blessings that He has given you. And be a faithful manager, and leave a legacy of love. You don't want the kids to be upset with you by giving them an asset that they have to pay so many taxes on that they're actually going to take home less money this year than they did last year before they did. So, again, I'm going to have you turn back to your feedback form. I would appreciate it if you could hand that in. Like I said, if you have any suggestions or would like a visit, I live in Leesburg. I'm only about an hour and a quarter away. I can make it down here in about an hour 15 minutes. I can meet at any time. I've met with people for breakfast, I've met with them for lunch at work, and I've met them at night. It's not a problem for me to come down here at any time. Also, we like to use this as feedback. And what we mean by that is if there's something that you would like to hear, would like something added to this program, please let us know, because that's how we learn. My background is in finance for 30 years, and you just kind of get old and crusty, and you kind of do the same old, same old. I'm a good old German. I like tradition. So anything that we can help to benefit you in the glory of God, by all means, let us know. And again, how satisfying it is to know you put your house in order. King Hezekiah, I'm just going to finish with the story. Old Testament reading, King Hezekiah was a 39-year-old king. Became ill. I mean, really ill. He was dying. He went to his priest, prophet Isaiah, and Isaiah told him to pray. King Hezekiah did. The Lord heard his prayers. Isaiah came back to him and told him, Lord heard your prayers, you will live 15 years. He got his house in order, got everything taken care of before the Lord called him home. The one thing about King Hezekiah, none of us know when the Lord is going to call us home. So again, putting our house in order, it is a comforting feeling. It's not a fun task. What I deal with is not fun, but it is, again, with great wealth. Rich, Jeff Bezos, I'm not, but if I turn sideways, I'm not twofold. You can still see me. I am blessed beyond all belief. So again, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming this morning. Please let me know. I will be here for the second service as well, as will Pastor Lunenberg. If you have questions, if you would like to make a meeting, please let me know. You can always call or text me or email me. My card is actually in that folder. I thank you. I first of all ask, are there any questions? We are pretty much right on time here. We got about 5 minutes, and I talked quickly. So if there are any questions, please let me know. Like I said, I can meet with you in the back right now as well. Thank you.